Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a WYLDHEART Chaos Warden build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod made by WyldsongXXL and it's based off like the Sylvan Sorcerer from Pathfinder, which is a combination of Sorcerer mixed with the Druid, and it's actually a whole lot of fun to play through. With the Chaos Warden, in a nutshell, it gets the ability to summon in a different type of elemental companion, and as you level up you get different summons. So this one is focused on using elements, whereas some of the others are like Master of the Hounds, all about dogs, but ravens. This one is about the elements, and this is a cool combination which I'll be showing off in this video. So the first thing we're going to roll with is our cantrips. I like to have Firebolt for explosions, Lightning Lure to pull enemies closer, Infestation, which reduces movement speed and just feels thematic for this one, as well as Primal Savagery. You do have to have a Mistress Spells mod unlocked or download to be able to use those, otherwise you could use like Thorn Whip Shillelagh. Now for the spells, Create Water and Magic Missile are two of our biggest bang for our buck spells. Thunderwave is also another nice one for the pushback that it gives, and Frost Fingers via Mistress Spells for the extra damage. But we're going to roll with the Chaos Warden here, and we also get the subclass feature adding our Wisdom modifier to our cantrips. And we get to choose a spell. This is when we're going to go with a minor water elemental, just for, I'll show you why. And it works thematically if we got lightning or cold damage, which we get lots of spells for that in this. Now, for our ability scores, this is a charisma-based class. We're going 16 charisma, 10 wisdom, 10 intelligence, 14 constitution, and 16 dexterity with 8 strength. And for skill proficiencies, always take persuasion. So I'll also show off all of the gear options that I'll be going over, as well as combat. So we'll just get right into things right now. And level 2, we get ourselves another choice in spells, and we get sorcery points. So for the spells, Frost Fingers can be nice because we can set up Create Water, and then Frost Fingers will deal double damage and create ice surfaces. Early game, that's just good damage. And since we're the Chaos Warden, we're all about elements, and that's using them to our advantage. For the meta magics, I really like Twinned and Distance Spell, increasing our spell range by 50%, as well as Twin Spell, allowing us to twin some spells, which is actually really powerful. As well, we get ourselves a choice in feat, where we can go with something like an increase to our charisma here. So that's what we're going to roll with at level 2. At level 3, you get your choice in spells here, so you can also go with like Darkness for great, this is just good to be able to hide out in. I also like Spike Growth for the crowd control, Hold Person, and Scorching Ray. Those are some of the best spells to go with. Hold Person, probably the best bang for our buck right now. And we're gonna go with the Quicken Spell. Being able to cast bonus action spells is very powerful and a big power spike for us, so we're gonna roll with that. Once we make our way to level 4, we get to choose another cantrip here, so we can go with something like, I guess Moonflare will work there. And for the spell that we're gonna go, Spike Growth, Scorching Ray, or Misty Step are the top 3 choices I would say for this. If you want to maximize damage, Scorching Ray works well. And Spike Growth is just really good crowd control. So what's nice is we can also take Spike Growth and remove it later, but we're going to go Scorching Ray here. And for our feat at level 4, we'll take ourselves an increase to our charisma. If you're not able to take the feat at level 2, don't worry about that. We can always just do less stats there. At level 6 or level 5 here, we get level 3 spells. Tidal Wave is probably our best choice. This is basically Create Water, but it does 48 bludgeoning and it knocks enemies prone. Can't ask for much more from that. You also got like Call Lightning there, which is another good option. I don't know why I got that icon there. And Haste is good too, because we can twin Haste to ourselves. Counterspell is another great choice, but we're going to go with the Tidal Wave spell there. And yeah, we'll just roll on to our next level here. So at level 6, we get our Nature's Invocation too, which will buff up our summon a little bit further. And we get to pick another spell. Plant Growth is another good consideration. Fireball can be nice, but doesn't fit thematically too much with this build. So we're going to go with Haste. And for the spell that we're going to take here, I would recommend just sticking with the Water Elemental. This is going to be our best friend in terms of elemental damage choice for setting things up. And for the feat that we can go with like an Alert feat, or we can go with the Dexterity Improvement overall, just to give ourselves better armor class. At level 7, we get ourselves another choice in spell, and we get some really fun ones at level 4. So like Ice Storm here is a pretty good one. We can also go with something like Grasping Vine, bonus action, pull targets towards it. Guardian of Nature can be kind of nice. And transform you into a guardian. Probably not best for this build, so we're gonna go with Ice Storm just for the crowd control. Ice Storm is a good way to open up in combat, especially because it creates a surface and also deals damage. Once we get ourselves to level 8 here, we get a choice in another spell, and we have quite the extensive spell list, so we can go back. Storm Sphere is another good one, because you can summon this down and then it'll continually do lightning damage to targets using your bonus action, which we don't really have a heavy contest in use for our bonus action. But alternatively, you can also go with Wall of Fire or even Fireball just for the great crowd control that brings. Now for our feat at level 8, you can also go with Spell Sniper and take Eldritch Blast and increase our critical hit chance. That's not a bad one. Warcaster to maintain concentration is good until you get the Constitution Amulet later on. And you can also go with the Alert feat. That's never a bad idea for the +5 to initiative and cannot be surprised. Once we make our way to level 9 here, we get ourselves another choice in spell, and we get my personal favorite, Cone of Cold. This is crazy damage, so we definitely want to take Cone of Cold because we can pair that with our Tidal Wave and double the damage of it, which is actually crazy. Now for the next leveled spell, you can go with whatever cantrip, or I guess leveled spell here. Insect Plague is actually really good. Crowd Control makes targets take more damage while they walk through it, a 40-10 piercing. And also, the difficult range is really nice for crowd control. You can have a nice surface and Insect Plague. It just works well. And for our meta magic, we can go with Heightened Spell to make it so that targets will disadvantage their first saving throw, which is actually really nice. And then we can go with our feat to increase dexterity all the way up to 20. Now, once we get ourselves to level 11, this gives us subclass feature Dampen Elements. So whenever your ally gets hit with acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, you can use your reaction to half the damage. And we get Nature's Invocation too. We also get ourselves some very powerful spells like Chain Lightning or Psychic Crush. We're going to go with Chain Lightning. That's just a really good one to have. And at level 12, we get the final selection for our spells. Global Invulnerability is actually really nice too. This can make some parts of the game really easy. Fisher can knock targets prone. Also a really good choice. Psychic Crush hits really hard. And by this point in the game, you'll have the Resonant Stone that can double the damage for a maximum potential of 148 damage, which is crazy. Sunbeam is also quite nice, but we're going to go with Global Invulnerability. And we already got most of the feats that we want. You can also go with something like as I mentioned, the going with Spell Sniper here can give us that extra choice of like a cantrip of Eldritch Blast, or you can take some of the other ones here, but Eldritch Blast is always not a bad choice. Even taking the Lucky feat. If you don't got these extra feats, that's okay. Not sure why it's happening there. I don't know if it's perfect or if it's meant to be on the class, but once we get ourselves to level 12, our gear should look like this. So late game, we got the Hood of the Weave, but early in the game, you can use the Helmet of Arcane Acuity and do Shillelagh weapon attacks to stack up your spell save DC. Alternatively, early game, you can also take the Warped Headband of Intelligence and mix in a level of the Wizard to prepare a few extra spells. We only have light armor proficiency, so we can only use certain items here, but Cloak of Protection works pretty well. It's always a good one. We also got ourselves the Potent Robe for early game. What's nice about this is it adds our Charisma modifier to cantrip damage, and we got ourselves a lot of cantrips that also we have a high Charisma modifier, so that can be really nice early game. And as you get to the late game, we can also go with like the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation or the Robe of the Weave. Robe of the Weave is probably going to be the best for our overall spell casting. We also got ourselves the Gemini Gloves, which can allow us to target multiple targets with cantrips, so that's pretty good too, especially with the Potent Robe. And the Glove of the Bliggard Sky is also nice because we can stack Reverberation with our Thunder and Lightning damage. Also with the Evasive Shoes, this will increase armor class. We can also go with the Boots of Stormy Clamor if we want to really stack up the Reverberation, so that can be actually pretty powerful. Then we also got ourselves the Hellrider Longbow for increased initiative, the Ring of Protection for better armor class, Ring of Regeneration for additional health, and the Amulet of Greater Health for greater health. So I'm using Mark Heschker here. This is a late game staff. We also got ourselves a Staff of Spell Power that we could use alternatively. So we got ourselves our two little elementals here. We'll summon both of them in, and we'll pop those down. So these are here for just setting up. They get the attack here, which creates Chilled. So whenever they attack a target, then they have a higher chance, or you will deal more damage with your cold spells. So you can see there it applies Chilled for 2 turns, which means our cold spells then deal double damage, which is huge. So that's the reason that we're going with these here, because this stacking Chilled is really, really effective. Then we also have the Nature's Invocation that we can apply to these, which will buff them up even further. So we can go ahead there, pop that on them, and then they get more health. So that goes up to 40 and 70 and increases their abilities a little bit as well. And with this all, you got a lot of different spells. I would recommend taking the Kareska's Favor and doing the Frost of the Dark Winter. The free Chain Lightning is nice, but cold damage, this just works very well because we can apply 1 term of Frost upon a target, and we also get the free casting of Cone of Cold, and our cold spells will deal more damage. So this just works out the best because these will apply a vulnerability to cold damage. I know some people complain that I do cold builds, but this is just the most strong way to make this. And this class is about elemental summons. The fire ones just aren't as good as the water ones, and I'll be honest on that front. So I'll show off what this is looking like in combat. So roll in there with your water elemental squad. A good way, if you know you're getting into a fight, is to just drop the Ice Storm down on them, because Ice Storm is just going to be crowd control for us without a concentration, because it makes the ice surfaces so when people start running towards you, they slip and they fall. So that's exactly what we want to have happen. Now, we also got some pretty fun abilities, because we got ourselves Tidal Wave, and with Tidal Wave, we can set up water that way, and then go to blasting even further. So whenever we have Tidal Wave set up, then we can go into a Cone of Cold. That's typically going to be what works best. But we also got things like Insect Plague, which we can also drop down, so we can go with something like that to create a little bit more of difficult terrain, because now there's ice and also those flies that are just bugging at enemies, so that can be pretty good too. And we also got ourselves the ever famous Cone of Cold, so this will actually hit all three of these, so we'll just roll with that here to just get a couple of them down. If you have the Snowburst Ring, I should have probably equipped that, because the Snowburst Ring will let us create ice surfaces below people when we do cold damage. And if you really want to, you can go with another Quicken spell, and then we could go with really whatever you wanted to drop on the enemy. This target's got 18 health left, so it's probably not too much. We don't really want to go too heavy with an attack. We could go with like a cantrip that could probably end it for them, or we could just go with a free cast of upcasted. We'll go with the highest form of this, and we'll do 4 hits there, and then we can't hit anyone else with this. I guess we'll just drop all the attacks to this target, and that'll take them out for sure. So we'll just drop that all on them. Boom. Yeah, that took them out. Didn't need to overkill. Didn't need to do the overkill on that, but that's fine. Now, since we got crowd control set up, we want to kite the enemies towards us. So they're going to dash, and they're going to regret that dash, because what they're going to have happen is they're going to slip and fall into our bugs, and they take extra damage because of that. So difficult terrain on difficult terrain, everyone's going to dash and continually take damage. And then we got our elementals here, which can do Rays of Frost, which is really nice, so we can just have them cast from far away as we're trying to kite people as much as possible with this. So there we go, hit him with the Ray of Frost. That was perfect. Typically you want to do the slam attack, because slam will set up vulnerability to cold damage, but we have this mini elemental here, 1d8 damage, not bad. We may as well just use that. Ray of Frost reduce our movement speed even further. So what's nice about that is this target's got the reduced movement speed. Well, he's also going to get reduced movement speed, so that can become pretty crazy. So yeah, for the most part, most of the enemies are just going to continually run towards us. They'll try to avoid this to the best of their ability by jumping and doing all sorts of different things. But I think the Insect Plague and Ice Surface kind of crowd control works very well, especially if someone else with the Ballast Armor, because if they're up close front lining, everyone's going to take double the piercing damage, so this will become even more effective. Now, we got ourselves a fun choice of spells here, and we also got ourselves a free cast. We may as well use the free Chain Lightning, since there's 99% hit chance on this prone enemy, and that deleted both of them there. This is pretty crazy how strong it can get. We can also just go with another Chain Lightning to blast them away. They're pretty weak as is, because they got hit with Ray of Frost and a few of our other spells. It would feel bad to just completely blast them with that, so you can also just go with a Scorching Ray. You don't have to go annihilate them completely, but I'm just going to drop Chain Lightning because it's fun, and we had no problem with that. 50 damage. So yeah, set up with your water elementals, get them to do the slam. We just created so much crowd control that it didn't really work out that way, but these are here to do their slam attack, because that sets vulnerability to cold damage. So your Ice Storm will deal double damage, your Cone of Cold will deal double damage for an upwards of 128 damage. You can't beat that. So that is a very fun and cool Wildheart build guide, the Chaos Warden in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all in the next video.